What's up, my friends? Welcome to the Live Wide Open podcast. I'm your host, Randy B. Ramirez, also known as Wide Open Randy, and I'm here to serve anyone who's looking to level up from their current situation. This show is dedicated to helping raise the bar for all the motorsport enthusiasts out there, those who want more out of life, those who want to do more, those who want to be more, those who love the thrill, the joy, and the connection of what these high performance engines bring into our lives. Because holding it wide open is just what we do. Being a good freaking person is who we are, and living our lives to the fullest is the lifestyle that we choose. Today, we're going to be talking about the transformative power of driving a car that excites you and how it can elevate your mindset and drive toward achieving more in your life. Like, because driving a car that ignites your passion is more than just a thrill. It really is. It's the combustion that propels you to develop yourself into a better person. Like, this has been my experience, and this has been what I've learned through my journey and what I've validated to not only myself, but my peers. And I'm here to share how you can do it too. Because as far as I can remember, I've always been into cars. Like, there's just something about them that really just fuels my desire to do more. Maybe it's because like cars bring you freedom. Like, I truly believe that they do. Like, you can literally get in a car and drive just about anywhere that you want to go and feel free. You're not trapped. You're like, you can go explore. You can go just leave, right? And growing up, I didn't have a car. Like, in fact, I actually purchased a motorcycle before I purchased a car. And I don't regret it. I love motorcycles, but I had a lot of rainy, wet days. And so once I finally had the means to like purchase my own car, I ended up doing so. And I ended up buying an old 5.0 Mustang. Like I remember I'll never forget it. Every time I see a black one out on the street, it always brings me back to that one. Like, it was a black hatch, it was stick shift, and it was V8. And I had major fun in that car. I truly enjoyed myself a lot. I broke it a lot too, but I truly enjoyed myself. After that one, I ended up kind of leveling up a lot, and I purchased an 2003 Mustang Cobra. Like, this thing was convertible. It was blue, and it was a supercharged V8. Major step up from that Fox body that I had. And that car, unfortunately, ended up getting stolen. So after that car, I ended up jumping into the import scene so that I wanted to get something that didn't catch so much attention. So what I did is I ended up purchasing an Acura TL Type S, and I actually called her Ashley. Like, I loved her. I truly enjoyed her. She was rode around for a long time, and she was all white. She had black leather interior. It was smooth. It was dope. I really enjoyed this car. Unfortunately, my wife, which back then she was my girlfriend, she ended up getting into an accident. She ended up uh, totaling the car, man. It just happens. It's part of life. And Ashley, rest in pieces, man. I always joke with her about that. But from there, I had already gotten like kind of refocused and going back to college. So I didn't want any payments. So what I ended up doing is I ended up getting a hand-me-down F-150 that originally was my dad's, but then it became my brother's, since he had taken it over, right? And then when I got it, it was kind of beat up. It really was. But I put some blood, sweat, and tears into that thing, and I fixed it up the best I could. I drove that thing around for a while too. I ended up lifting it. I put some 35-inch mud tires, so it was a fucking gas guzzler. It really was. And then when I graduated college, and I got my first job as an intern in a construction company, in the industry. Um, um, on my journey to become a well-rounded construction professional, what I did was I found a job, and when I accepted, I didn't know how far it was, but I was like, man, I was driven, got a good opportunity, and I'm going to jump all on this. And my drive from my house where I was living to the office was about 65 miles one way. So I was putting over 120 miles a day. And when I calculated the first week, like of my travel time, like I ended up spending more on gas than I actually made working as an intern. So I knew things had to change, right? And so I remember I had just started working, and I was just getting back on my feet because I wasn't working. I was just going to school full time for that period of time. Um, and um, and so my wife, my girlfriend back then, she did something that I never thought. She just surprised me. She's like, hey, look, I want you to take this money. I want you to buy yourself a little Honda. She didn't tell me what I had to buy, but I ended up buying a Honda Accord, a little beater Honda Accord. And boy, man, that was like one of the biggest blessings that hit around that time because, man, I was driving 120 miles round trip daily, about 6 days a week. Um, and I fixed that thing up and I drove it nonstop. And I actually enjoyed it a lot because I came from a gas guzzling V8 on 35-inch tires to a little freaking 4-cylinder that didn't waste no gas. It was economical. I fixed it up to look pretty decent, and I was jamming. I was saving on gas on that, right? And so when when I drove that thing around for a while, right? And then I ended up doing a lot better, right? And what ended up happening is that as I was climbing through my career, I ended up getting transferred. I finally got getting transferred because I was working in the main office that whole time. And I finally got transferred to the job site, and at that job, it was in Coral Gables actually, and it was significantly closer to home. And since I was doing a lot better, I decided that it was time really to get back into something that was decently fast, something that kind of like sparked my interest more, and that's when I ended up buying, the last year of the fourth gen Camaro. Actually, freaking crazy purchase. Flew out to Texas, bought this sunset orange metallic Camaro SS, and drove that bitch down from Texas, man. It was a pretty cool experience, and that is actually the Camaro that I ended up turboing a couple years later, right? But once I had the Camaro, it was time to sell the old and trusty Accord. It did its purpose, it served its duties, and it definitely got me through a time in my life where it was much needed, right? And once I had the Camaro, I ended up doing heads and cam in the Camaro, and it was my daily for a while. Like I remember actually living where I was kind of living and starting it up early in the morning, like 5 a.m. and like it was heads and cam, so it was like really loud, and I wouldn't barely even let it warm up. I would literally turn it on, let it idle for like 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, and I put it in reverse, and I'd idle the whole way out the neighborhood. I'm letting it warm up because it was so loud. And so as I kept continue climbing and moving up in my career as a construction professional, I got the opportunity. I earned the opportunity, I should say, and they got me a company truck. And what they did is a lot of the guys got Fords, right? But a lot of guys ended up getting like the V6s, and I just got lucky. Maybe it was just the frequency of what I attract, and me being my love for cars. But I ended up getting an F-150, which I pretty much drove until I left that company. But the F-150 that I got was built tough. I mean, I feel like they're all built tough, right? But I got a 5.0 V8 engine, and so that thing had a little bit of pep in its step, and it really did. And now knowing that I had something kind of reliable, like not kind of, it was actually really reliable. That put a lot of miles on that truck from Coral Gables, and I moved to the job up in North Miami, and man, I was just drove it, really reliable. I could say Ford built tough on that thing. And then so that's when I was like, man, you know what? I'm really not driving the Camaro so much, so I went ahead and got the great idea of going on with the turbo build with the Camaro. And before it went turbo, it was heads, cam, and nitrous. And I remember when I was driving a daily, I would spray that thing in the morning because I would get to the job site super early, and I would freaking always had like 2 nitrous bottles, and it was fun as fuck. It really was. But the blue Silverado that is actually the one I have now, back then, is actually what got me to turbo my Camaro in the first place. But back then, it wasn't mine. It was my friend Ricky's. And it was a lot milder setup than it is now. Like probably made like less than 300 horsepower, 3 to 400 horsepower, and probably what it makes now. It was a lot more mild truck, and it was truly what got me to kind of go the turbo route, right? And some time had passed, and after enjoying the turbo Camaro for a while, like it was dope. I built something that I had never. That was like the fastest car I had driven or built to that point, right? But of course, me always pushing things to the limit, I ended up blowing up that engine. I blew it to pieces. That big ass hole on the engine block because I made too much horsepower, I guess. And so what I ended up doing was I was gonna fix the Camaro because it was pretty much ready. All I had to do, and in hindsight, I should have just put another motor in it and then still did what I did. But That's why they say hindsight is always 2020. So I was gonna fix the Camaro, but then my friend was like, "Hey, look, I kind of want to get rid of the truck. I don't want it anymore. Would you be interested?" And he kind of gave me a decent deal on the truck, and so I was like, "Fuck it." I ended up purchasing it off of him. And my mindset back then was really that I loved having a turbo V8 so much. After driving the Camaro and turboing it, and like it was just being something so fast, like so badass, and the adjustability of the electronic boost controller that you went from like very low boost to high boost, and it was just like the power increase was amazing, and I loved this so much that I set out a goal that I wanted to build, um, a daily driver, a turbo V8 daily driver, so that so it's something that like the truck, so that I could load my motorcycles in the back if I wanted to go to a stunt spa, or I could haul some materials if I needed to do some work around the house, or since I worked in construction, if I needed to put some materials back then, or eventually the goal was to pool my turbo Camaro with my turbo Silverado, and that was really the goal. And but what happened is that that truck build got out of control fucking quick. It really did, and ended up being what happened is why it got out of control so quick is because it ended up being a lot slower than I thought it would be, right? And the reason why it ended up being so much slower is because I failed to account how much an additional 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, more or less, would hold you back. Like I never took account the weight, and so after a couple iterations of that truck, I blew an engine on it. I put it back together. I put a bigger turbo, and I finally got it to where it is now. I'm finally happy with it. It's decently fast. It's probably a little bit faster than my Camaro was, but it's fucking reliable. I've drove this thing around. I've talked about it in the podcast. Gone as far as Georgia with it, and I'm truly happy with it. And I finally have it to a point where like I'm good. Like as of right now, I don't want to mod it anymore. Like it got to a point where it's good. It's decent. I'm happy with it. It makes decent power. Maybe with the turbo brakes down the line, I'll probably upgrade it, but I have no reason now to do anything. And so why am I telling all this, right? Well, I'm telling you this so that you could see that I've always had this passion for cars. And through my journey, like it's taught me that when you drive something that excites you, it truly feels like it fuels your desire to do more, to be more, and to achieve more in your life, in your career, to make more money, to just vibe different. Like it really does. And I shared with you last week that like I already have my eyes on the next daily driver. I really do. I already know what I want. I already know what color I'm gonna get it. I already know all the details. I've been researching it. And of course, I already know what kind of mods I'm gonna put on this thing. But that one I'm gonna have to work for it because it's definitely not a cheap one. It really isn't. So it will come in due time. But I know that I need to put in the work, and that one needs to be earned. So and follow the journey along. I'm not gonna say what it is, but you know, you'll see if you follow me long enough that's gonna come to fruition, right? And so I proved this theory when we purchased my wife's SRT Jeep. I really did, and the reason why I proved it is because she didn't want something that expensive, or for the matter of fact, she didn't even want something that was brand new from the dealer. But I knew that going through my experience, that when you drive something that is really nice, that is something that like you've like that it's more than what you expect or what you want, like you just vibe different, you show up different, like you're in a better mood, and as a result what ends up happening is you develop more drive to work harder in your career, because just being in a better vehicle just fucking it just raises your frequency. It really does. And so it was a big purchase. It really was. And back then, like it was out of our reach, if I'm being fully transparent with you. But I knew what would come as a result if I were to get my wife that car for her to drive to work every single day. So I took the gamble. I really did, and I went all in, and we did that purchase. It was the biggest purchase kind of that we've had for a vehicle yet. And I say yet because we've got some big ones coming up in the near future, God willing. But she has leveled up so much since then. And that truck really was the catalyst, like the thing that sparked the improvement, the drive for her to improve at the level that she's done. It's not only that, but that was the initiation phase for her to grow as much as she's had, right? And I'm gonna say this because you gotta always put that, I guess, that small print. Um, I'm not your financial advisor, right? So take this with a grain of salt. Everyone is different. Everyone is in different financial statuses, and everyone's in a different boat, kind of where they are with their finances. So just take this as my experience. Like, I'm just talking about here what has worked for us, and also what I have seen has worked for some of my close friends when I recommend this to them as well, because I talk about this and I've recommended this to a few friends, and they report back to me, and I see them, and they're like, "Oh, that was the best move I could have made." And really, the message is that if you can afford it, like, go get yourself something that excites you, right? Something that you feel good driving, something that when you get in it, you're like sitting in traffic there, and then like instead of being all stressed out, like you're looking around and like you're saying to yourself, like, man, this shit is mine, baby. Like, fuck yeah, and we're just getting started. Like, it's kind of like a psychological boost for your drive. It really is. It influences your performance at work with your relationships and your personal pursuits as well. It fucking works. The link, like this is something that is real. Like, the link between your passion for driving something that makes you feel good and your overall life satisfaction is real. Like, that's true. I've proven it, and I've seen it with other people, and it works. Like, it literally elevates you, and you just show up with this higher frequency to work. Like, like picture yourself like in these two different scenarios that I'm about to give you. Like, the first one is you're driving a hoopty, like one that you don't even know if it's going to overheat on you in traffic that day, or even for sometimes it doesn't even start. You're like, oh my God, I hope I make it to work on time. The paint's all messed up. It's bubbly on the outside from the sun. It's so old. You don't even have matching rims on that thing. As a matter of fact, like you have a hubcap that's missing on one of them. And on the other wheel, you have like the one of those old, like small little donut spare tires, because it doesn't have a full size spare. Like, the interior smells like wet mildew because the weather stripping is bad on the car. So every time that it rains, it leaks inside the car and it stays wet until it freaking dries. So it has that wet smell in it. Like, the seats are all ripped. Your AC barely blows cold. So when you get to work, you're kind of sweaty and you're sticky. Like, the car burns oil. And because you're so embarrassed of that car, you end up parking far as fuck, as far as possible as you can, so that no one sees you driving that thing, right? Like, how do you think you're going to show up to work in that car? Like, how are you going to be walking into the office, like, when you're like, oh God, and like kind of in a shitty mood or whatever? Now let's flip that on its complete side. Let's turn this shit upside down, and let's paint the complete opposite scenario. Let's say that you're driving something that's new or pretty new, right? The car smells fresh inside. It actually probably even has that new car smell that smells good. Like, the leather feels soft when it touches your skin, and your balls aren't even sweaty because you have vented seats. Like, have you ever driven a car that has vented seats? This shit is fucking amazing. And what happens is that you ended up getting the upgraded stereo package, so the music is fucking bumping to the max. You're fucking jamming out in traffic to your favorite songs, like you're singing your life away, like if you're this professional fucking singer. We've all done it. We've all fucking sang in our cars like that. You park that car straight up at the front, like, so then when you get out and you fucking look back and you see that shiny paint, man, and you think to yourself, boy, man, that car looks good, man. Then as you turn back around, your coworker is right there and he's saying, oh shit, pimpin'. Yo, is that thing you, bro? For real? Is that you? And you smile and you give him a head nod, and you go ahead and you hit that key fob as you walk away to lock the door so he knows it's you. Like, how do you think you're going to show up to work? How do you think you're going to be walking into the office that day? Like, you're going to be fucking vibing. Your mood is going to be up. Like, your confidence is going to be up. You're going to be like on this way happier person, on this way happier vibe, on this way happier mood, and you're going to be ready to attack the fucking day with whatever comes your way. I'm not saying that problems are not going to come. Yeah, problems are going to be there, but it's all about how you're starting the day, how and also how you're ending it. Because when you leave work and you get home, you get to ride in that car, right? So my message for you today is, my friends, if you can afford it, drive something that makes you happy, because you will do more and you will achieve more as a result. Yo, I'm driving the freaking checkered flag deep into the ground, and I'm calling out all the motorsport enthusiasts who want to improve their situation. Let's break free from all the shit that's been holding us back, and let's prove to the world that we're some badass motherfuckers. Those of you who made it to the end of the episode, I want to say that you got yourself a win, man, and I genuinely appreciate your valuable time for investing into the Live Wide Open podcast. This movement is called Live Your Life Wide Open, and helping others improve is the mission that God has tasked us with. We are driven individuals. We're working on breaking the fucking stereotype, and we're working on becoming the best that we can be. Join me on this journey while we help as many motorsport enthusiasts as possible to create the best lives that we can imagine. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and smash that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode. You can follow me on my Instagram. My handle is @WideOpenRandy. And if you felt any connection to today's message, man, I sincerely ask that you please share this on your stories, because those are the actions that get more people to see and to hear about this podcast. And ultimately, those are the actions that help us spread the message. I'll catch up with you guys on the next episode, but till then, live your life wide open, my friends. Peace.